Everyone, welcome to another Pastel Painting Friday. So let me know if you can hear and see everything and it's not glitching or anything like that. Because last time it did glitch, so just a fair warning, it may still be glitching again. I don't know what it is. I have the same setup that I had before that was working just fine, so I don't know. We'll see how all that goes. I hope everybody is doing well. This is Soft Pastel. I posted a link to the reference that I'm using because I think it's actually a pretty good one in terms of that kind of neoclassical kind of look. This is done by was done by an artist named Thomas Lawrence. Hey, Uncle Earl, Giselle, Mark L. Welcome everyone. Links to the materials that I'm using are in the description box of the video. This is Soft Pastel, Rembrandt brand. As you can see, the pastel is pretty fluid. I'm able to move it around quite easily, so no problems there. We're gonna go in with mass, a more mass-oriented approach. Obviously, with the soft pastels, lots of layering is gonna be involved. The angle of the head is somewhat like this. Hey, Denise Sanders. Yes, this is live. Hi, Grace. This is live for everybody. Everyone's welcome. So this mass-oriented approach may look strange to anyone that's not accustomed to it. So what it is I'm covering as much of the paper as I can so that when I go into the subtleties, there's a lot of pastel on it for me to work with. So you really got to build the texture with this. Unlike with the oil pastel, it's kind of, you can get a lot of texture immediately. Not so much with this. But they're, whether you're using oil pastel or soft pastel, they're all a lot of fun. Yeah, I'm already blocking in masses. And the point is just like I was saying before, is I want to have more texture to work with when we do get into the subtleties. So yeah, you can't be afraid of the pastel. Can't be afraid to let it get messy at first. Show no fear to the pastel. Just get in there and get your forms right away. That's the way to do it. So how's everyone doing today? Next week is the big one. The holidays are here. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of holiday shopping going on. Pretty sure Amazon is going to be real busy. And don't worry, my painting inventory has not sold out yet. So there's still time for you to order your original Yupari painting. As far as the pastels are concerned, I will put them up for sale, but in terms of the shipping, I gotta really figure that out, do a lot of research. First, there's gonna be a lot of red in the background. This is that burnt sienna type color. I doubt I'll be able to cover all of it in one pass, as you see here. It's gonna take a while to cover it all. It's gonna take a long time. Let's see if we can use this paper towel. Smudge some of it. Turn it into like a textured wallpaper. Just so it's not so smudgy. Yes, that's a word, I made it up. Okay, alright, blocking in the masses. This is really physical, by the way, this part. So, for some reason, I was already a little bit tired before starting the stream. I don't know exactly why. Almost felt a little dizzy before the stream. I think I'm just adjusting to contacts. I've been wearing contacts since about, like, I don't know, 5 hours ago, 6 hours ago. And it really does help with my pool. Like, I'm an amateur at best, an amateur pool player. But today is the first day I'm using contacts while painting. I did a little sketch, a little watercolor sketch of this same reference earlier. And then I started getting, I was feeling a little bit dizzy, I guess. And I know I'd said before about not using the contacts when using pastel, but I'm gonna thoroughly clean my hands, obviously, before removing them, removing the contact lenses. So should be fine. So if you've never tried out contact lenses and painted, it's really different. I mean, this canvas is, or this is like right in front of me. It's really close. So I think my perception has improved a little bit in painting as well. So how's everybody doing today? Enough about me. Are you excited for the weekend? How many of you have some weekend plans? Holiday plans? Plans for world domination? To go drone sighting? Go watch those drones flying everywhere? Oh, 26. That's a good number. Yeah, if anyone here has never used soft pastels, I definitely recommend it if you want to improve on your oil painting in particular. Either soft or oil pastels. They can really help improve your oil painting. Because you're forced to work with masses like this. Yeah, of course it looks strange, it feels strange. But you only improve through doing things that you feel like you can't do, and through repetition. Try something different. Put that highlight there for some reason or other, knowing that you're going to eventually work over top of it. Don't be afraid. The only thing that matters right now is just the angle of the eyes, making sure I have the angle correct. And so far it's close. This is going to have to drop slightly. But that's why it's nice. It's easier to keep this nice and loose early on, so that you can maneuver around without being too cautious. With pastel, I would recommend against filling in the dots. Filling in the, doing like a coloring book kind of thing. Just because it's just a lot of massing that has to occur before you get the chance to add subtlety. So I was already considering subtlety in the first couple minutes. It said response, like a Sash themed drone painting. Oh, yeah, the drones aren't over there, right? We put them over there in the painting world. Well, thanks for that comment about the likeness starting to creep in there. It wasn't a lot of people there, and I get it. It's the holiday season. You got stuff to do. I understand. I won't give up. I will keep doing these videos for you. Obviously, they will change around a little bit once in a while. Hey Ron, is Etsy easy to sell paintings? Oh yeah, it is somewhat. However, what I usually tell people, anyone that's like really interested in buying a painting from me, um, sometimes it's best to just not use it if you want to use Zelle, Venmo, PayPal, any of those options. That's what I usually use for, say, like commissions. People that are like in-person commissions, I won't use Etsy for that. But if you want to start up Etsy and start selling, I mean, that's what the platform's really good for, is for people that don't want to spend the time to create a custom website. Eventually, I think everyone, including myself, should create their own. But I'm just not there yet. I'm just not there yet. So you really gotta layer each and every one of these planes. You gotta mix on the canvas, even though it's not a canvas, I'll call it a canvas. You gotta mix on the canvas. Don't be afraid to put in that odd highlight that doesn't have to be there just yet. Just have fun with it. I price my paintings based on the size of the painting and how much time it took me. So for example, if a painting is 9 by 12 inches and it took me a month to paint, I will charge more than a 9 by 12 inch that took me 3 hours to paint. If a painting took me 3 hours to paint and it's 16 by 20 inches, I'll charge more than a painting that took me the same amount of time for a smaller one. And that would only be really for shipping purposes. I would charge just more for the shipping. But Etsy will calculate that automatically, I think. Also, I'll vary the prices depending on the economy. Right now, things are kind of messed up, so I understand I can't charge 2021 type prices in 2024. Now, obviously, some of you are watching this in 2025 or beyond, so hopefully the economy is better at that point. But I tell you what, I would not consider myself an expert or even highly knowledgeable in the sales department. It's something I need to work on. Probably telling you that is not good, but my channel, I think, is built upon a certain level of truth, like being as truthful as I can to you about how I work. Obviously, I'm not trying to show you something that I wouldn't do myself because this is what I'm doing. Thanks, KK. Thank you. What's going on, Mark? Oh, hi, Mark. How you doing? Truth in a post-truth age. You said, what are you doing to put up your older paintings on Etsy? I am not entirely sure about my older paintings. To be again in full transparency, ever since the move, some of them did get kind of damaged. Not like completely like ruins, but scratches here and there. So obviously that's going to affect things. That's why I'm only going to be at the time being selling the current ones. Though what I'll do, Mark, is once I start putting the listings for the older ones, I'll write down certain notes like it has a scratch here, has a scratch there. And as an artist as well, for just a general advice to other artists, you want to be very clear about that with your clients, because they'll get you. They'll get you on anything. They'll do whatever they can to not have to pay what they said they're gonna pay in the beginning. So you gotta be very careful. Depends on who you're working with, but you just gotta be very careful with that. Someone can easily get a painting from you or something and intentionally damage the edge of it, and say that, oh, it arrived that way. You gotta be very careful about that. Oh yeah, if you're interested in one, Mark, yeah, let me know. Email me or message me on Patreon, or we could even meet up in the virtual class, or not the virtual, in the Zoom if you want to. I know you're not in that tier, but you can still join. I can send you the link and we can talk on Zoom. I won't charge you any extra for that. Just Zoom me. We can always meet up on Zoom. We're gonna say reorder your older paintings. I've not sold all my older paintings. No. I wish. Like I said, I'm not very intelligent in the sales department, but I do have a lot of 9x12s, 8x10 paintings that I know I can ship, and if need be, I can bargain with people for them. Like, I mean, they're already not that expensive to begin with. They won't cost you more than like a fancy meal with a couple of friends. I'm trying to approach this all from a very practical standpoint. A different artist would probably, do something in 3 hours and then charge like $500 for it or something. When you think about it, like, how many people are going to be able to do that? How many people are going to be able to consistently afford that? Probably not many. Student-wise, I don't have that many. Not as many as I used to on my Patreon. So we have probably about, like, I want to say 40 uh, members, but out of the 40, I think we only have maybe like, I want to say like 5 people that are currently working through the projects. I take my students' learning very seriously. Um, I get to know everybody on a, on a personal level simply because there's not that many students. So I get the time to actually know you and know what you want to accomplish, and if like what you want to do is not something that what you want to learn is not something that my class projects can help you with, I'll tell you. Yeah, no problem, Ron. Alright, so now that we've got the canvas, we'll call it a canvas, somewhat covered, I can now start to draw a little bit. Now obviously the mouth doesn't need to be exactly where it is. I can raise it. So I'm going to do that now. Should go, edge of it should be right about there. But yeah, let me be sort of a guide for everyone out there that wants to create paintings and sell them. That's what I'm going to do. And maybe even during one of these streams, I have my phone on ring. So if a sale does go through, we can celebrate together. And the moral of the story is, if I could do it, you can do it. Okay, so in terms of drawing, this is what I'm going to do. Whenever I work with masks like this, just like with oil paint, what I like to do is get all of that stuff basically as loosely placed as possible, but the emphasis is on texture. So getting as much texture in there as possible. And then after there, what I do is kind of move back to a more linear type approach. So we're not there yet for the linear type approach. So right now, I'm going to just let it be still awkward stage, still awkward looking. But mindset wise, I need to remember that the purpose of this stage is to put as much texture, as much pastel for me to work with. I almost forgot something. I did forget something. One of my blending tools. But yeah, the Etsy is, the app is on my phone, and the phone is on Ring, and the phone is right next to the laptop. So it will make a certain cash register sound if someone does buy something at some point. Doesn't necessarily have to be today, but whenever I do a stream. Currently, I think there's only two paintings up there. Okay, whoops. Are we dropping things? All right, so I think that was the last kind of area right here that I needed to cover before switching gears into drawing mode. So I was in a mass mode, massing in these big shapes. Now we can make the transition into drawing mode. So kind of like a car, this is kind of like first, second gear. Now we're going to switch like in the third gear. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use this, right, that I used for that, and I'm going to ghost almost the entire thing like this. Can't be afraid to do things like that. And what this does is it'll kind of let the pastel get really in the paper there. And from here, what I'll do is go back to a linear. So that is, I'm going to go and establish the drawing with more accuracy now. Now that I've spent about 32 minutes basically prepping it for this. So now what I'll do is go in with, and the reason I'm doing it this way, and you could do it the other way around, is that now I'm adding lines onto something that's there, something that has texture to it now, rather than having to fill in the texture. So anyway, I'm going to start off with, again, the basic proportion. So bottom of the chin, somewhat about there, relative to the mouth. Hairline kind of fits around here. That may be too tall, so I'm going to move it down to about there. That looks a little bit better. The hair curves around here, showing at least that much of the forehead. Probably closer to up there again. So we'll let that be the top. This goes out. Edge of the face is there. Now we establish the edge of the face on that section. Now I'm going to go back to the hair. Simple planes. Mapping out where the hair is going to go, these little curls. Right above the top of the head, that's the highest it'll go. Curls going in this direction. And the curls eventually going in that direction. And I'll outline it yet again on the outside. And this is something I figured out with Pastel in particular. Just go around the edge of it. You don't have to do this with the other materials, but with Pastel. See, that way you basically cover the stuff that you had previously. I don't know, it could be Napoleon's wife, I'm not sure. I didn't look at that. All I saw was the painting, and it was done by Thomas Lawrence. It's possible. Now we'll move to the outside of the face, starting from here. Now where the jaw curves around here. Edge of the face is about right there, give or take. Say about a little further out. About here. Perfect. Angles away. Then we have that gentle curve there. Go to the other side now, do the same thing. Now before going into that, I want some context for the brow ridge and that all important angle, which is not 45, but it's a little less. You don't need to get a protractor or anything like that. Just simply eyeball the angle. So that's about the angle there. Now you're going to relate everything to this. The eyes, everything is going to be related to this angle. Tear duct is going to go here. And this gives you the center line of the face. It tells me that it's almost straight, but it's slightly, if I were to draw a center line, slightly 3/4. I'm seeing slightly more of this side than this side. That's the center line here. Now here's the edge of the eyebrow, the brow ridge. Curves out, curves in, like that. This curves back out. And now this curves back in. Gives me the cheekbone, which is kind of curvy. Her face is more rounded out. Then this curves in. Somewhat like that. Gives me the curvature for this. Little glimpse of the ear is here, but that's not that big of a deal. Tear ducts need to be at the same angle relative to the eyebrows. This gives me the edge of the eyes. Now this goes down. This point is going to be for the bottom middle of the nose. She has the longest face with a high forehead. Yep, something like that, correct. I did have to move the forehead up there a little bit. So yeah, kind of long. Now this is the bottom middle of the nose is going to be just slightly out here because we're seeing more of the side of the nose here. And this should be roughly around the same angle as that. Not everyone, and nobody's perfectly symmetrical anyway. But we want to start with that, something close to it. The edge of the nose goes about there. This goes down to the top middle of the upper lip, which is about here. So this is the distance now between the bottom of the nose and the top of the upper lip. Top of the upper lip, edge of the lips, which are quite petite, very small. It's a classical, kind of like a romanticized, idealized face. Bottom of the upper lip, lower lip. Now the chin will probably move down slightly. And it's alright if you got to adjust a little bit. We did work from the top down, so that's fine. Okay, so this comes out down here. Cast shadow. So think about the massing stage as almost kind of like a warm-up to all of the subtleties. And yeah, definitely always got to relate things to things when drawing. Absolutely, William Bogart. And when you're masking like this with a full pastel stick, be very careful not to put too much pressure, because they can crack. They're not always going to stay this nice. So when you're masking, again, think about it as a warm-up. It makes this transition into subtlety really smooth. Even that little highlight of the eye that we used before is an excellent ghost, meaning it provides something really neat underneath of the subtlety that we're going to add now. And it's personal preference. You could have started with that drawing. You could have started with that and then worked in between. It's personal preference. It depends on how you're feeling that day. But you should know how to switch gears between massing mode and accuracy mode, linear accuracy mode. And you should practice them in isolation if you're not quite able to transition between one or the other. Now I suggest you buy a gray with your soft pastels. I'm just being cheap and I haven't purchased a gray color yet. So I have to mix it, which is not the most ideal thing. You can always be cheap with gray, but not with brushes. I get it. I get it. Another nice thing about pastel, of course, no brushes to deal with. gotta mix our own green. Uh, Ron, that's a very common question I get. And I always have the same response. I've never actually purchased them. I've only ever tried one rosemary brush ever. And that was from a student that had them when I was teaching in person classes years ago. My favorite are Silver Brush, Grand Prix. But honestly, I think whatever works for you is the right choice for you. Maybe one of these days I'll try the rosemaries out, but nah, haven't purchased. I've never purchased them. Old Masters never used filberts. I think they only had uh, starting to forget now. The pointy ones. Rounds. They only had rounds. From what I remember, that's what I remember being told. Of course, I'm not old enough to have been during the old master times, and maybe I'm a time traveler. You never know. I could have time traveled here on a drone. But anyway, I think they had their apprentices make their brushes, so that's why they were always rounds. But someone here said that they also had flats. Yeah, round brushes. Someone told me they also had flats. Fine art, I think, has always prided itself on being low tech. So I can see the aesthetic in using old master type materials and ideas. But I think in the end of the day, it depends on what you're after. If you're after practicality, then, whatever works kind of thing. But it is good to experiment with, different materials. There goes another Camaro. It's always the Camaros, man. Super loud Camaros. Not that I have anything against Camaros, they're just, for some reason, Camaro drivers are so obnoxious. Like you sell your ex at a Camaro. Oh man. Nothing against Camaro owners out there. Some of you, I'm sure, don't rev your Camaros into super loud RPMs and drive around without catalytic converters, but it's crazy, man. It's crazy. It's always the Camaros. Nothing against car culture. I used to have a Nissan 350. I miss that car every day. Every day. I had to be dumb and sell it, thinking I'd be more practical in getting a Versa. So yeah, nothing against car culture. It's kind of funny. I have this image of my head. In the old masters, the Camaro drivers of the day were people with their chariots. Why is your chariot so loud? He had a ZX. William. I think my stepdad had something with a Z. I mean, other than the 350Z, I forgot. It's kind of like a low to the ground car. Kind of reminded me of the Corvettes, the old Corvettes. So I got 6 minutes till the break, and of course when we get back, we're gonna get into all of the subtleties. I don't know why I'm so tired today for some reason. I think it's just adjusting to the context. No brakes. Yeah, right. I'd probably pass out. 300 ZX. I mean, if I need to pass out in order to get more views, I can do that. Whatever it takes. But yeah, adjusting to the context is tiring. This is the longest I've ever worn them. It's only been about 6 hours. Yeah, I recommend everyone always take breaks every 30 minutes or so. Even for just a minute or two, just walk around. Because believe me, the painting looks totally different after you walk away from it for 5 minutes. You come back and you're like, who messed with my drawing? Who touched my painting? I shall send you to Valhalla. Yeah, I mean, to me, I consider it a job. Like, it is my 9 to 5 is pretty much a 4 to 7. Everything else in between is studio maintenance, studio painting, the occasional pool. Oh yeah, Definitely the Bad Santa too. But I think I kind of like the first one better than the second one. The second one was a little too morbid for me. But they're still my favorite holiday movies. I used to, William. My only art community are my students. Shout out to you, Randy. We were just hanging out earlier today. So, pretty much, my students are my only connection to the art world these days. And that's okay. I mean, I had an art world scene, I guess, an art scene pretty much all of my life until I moved to Alexandria, Virginia. Even though they say the torpedo factory is in Alexandria, I've never actually been in the torpedo factory. And from everything I've seen, they don't have any long poses there. Uninstructed long poses is what you need in order to produce artwork in at least like Sargent looking, Rembrandt looking artwork in a group setting. So you wrote the likeness. Why don't the sketches look the same? Believe me, whoever the model was for this did not look like that. So likeness is something that is, yes, it's important. Think about the character of the person or whatnot, but it's my humble opinion that once you start to think about the likeness and actively do things to have a better likeness, and if you stop taking your eye off of shapes, things can go wrong because you start to think about things other than shapes. What you should be thinking about here is shapes of value and color relative to one another. Things are going to get pushed around, but like one of my teachers used to say, the likeness is nothing more than the confirmation of an accurate drawing. Another teacher used to say, find form with freedom. So you can find accuracy with freedom. Now, obviously, there are things such as very specific measurements for the eyes to the nose and stuff like that. And if that's the way that you want to work, that's okay. That's up to you. I'm showing you a way of working where you don't got to think about it. You just do. You just move the brushes, the pastels around, and that's it. That's all you got to do. What I want is for everyone to achieve a sense of freedom in the way that they work. That's what I was taught as a kid, and that's what I want to always make available to people. Oh yeah, I mean, I used to call it the main triangle. Like, yeah, connecting the dots between the eyes and the nose creates a triangle, and then however you move it around, it's a very specific triangle. Yeah, there's something to be said about that. Meaning, in her triangle, that nose is really far down, so this triangle is definitely not an isosceles triangle, but it's pulled down a little bit more and moved that way. Yeah, no problem, Ron and William. All right, so this is the point where I will take a break. I take a break every hour. So I'm going to play a sample video, some sample footage of one of my Patreon projects. The audio will be turned off, so don't think that I just randomly lost audio. It's just going to be turned off for a little bit. So I'm going to take a break for like 5 minutes, hang out with my Shiba Inu Hugo, and then we will be back soon. Don't go anywhere unless you absolutely have to, and we'll be right back. Alrighty, so it's been about 5 minutes and something seconds. So we are back. Now we'll continue this painting. Oh, thanks, Shavu. Thank you, thank you. Alright, so we were working on the nose, a little bit of the values for the nose. So let's go ahead and continue doing that. And in order to get this kind of, there's no little dots in there anymore, right? Like we would have, like, say here, the purpose of that start, remember that massing start, was so that we don't have that kind of scratchy look. The purpose of the mass oriented start was so that we can go in with this kind of subtlety now. Thanks for all the likes, by the way. We got 23 likes. That's a lot. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Hugo's really happy. He's over there playing fetch by himself, throwing his toy. He hears something out there. He's trying to investigate. Let me know if you can hear me and all the visuals are okay. Now we're going to put a dark reddish shape around the shadow, then we're going to add yellow, then we're going to add black, then we're going to add more yellow, then more black, and then more red. Basically, I'm just describing how we're going to mix the shadow side. Where is everyone? Everybody left when I took a break. I told you I'd be right back, didn't I? You didn't believe me. They didn't believe me. We had 30 something and then we took a break and it's only 17. Where'd you go? I'm not gonna sing the lyrics of that song because I'll get demonetized for using those lyrics. So come back to the stream. Now here's the point where you need to prioritize. Set your priorities. You can spend a long time rendering everything equally, or you can choose to leave certain things to vignette. And nowadays that actually tends to attract more people than if you render everything out. So I'm going to put a little bit of information still around here, but I will spend most of the time here and maybe even leave the background as scratchy as it is. Nikki Sale's still here. Awesome, awesome. Now I'm going to start adding some stuff for the mouth. We'll put in a lot of red and make her look like Betty Boop or whatever it's called. Whatever she's called. And then we're going to bring it back down to earth. The reason for this is that it's just how I'm choosing to layer it. That's how I'm choosing to do it. And that's because adding white to red makes it pink, in theory. So let's see if that works. Now at first it's going to look strange and really poofy, but as long as I have a mass for it, well, considering this kind of a mini mass, that's going to be all that matters. Layering yellow and black underneath the lips. For some reason, there's always, in the old master paintings, there's always a green underneath of the lips. I don't know why, but it just is. And thanks for all the likes. We're now at 24 likes. If you're watching the stream and you haven't left a like, I hope I didn't offend you in any way. But if you can, do me a favor, leave a like. Hopefully it'll help bring more people to the streams. Now the yellow is going to offset the red, which will give more of the curve for the corner of the mouth. When you get into this stage in your paintings, understand it's kind of another transition, just like changing gears to a car. We're now transitioning from that subtle drawing. Remember, we went in with the drawing, and now that we're going into the subtleties, you're transitioning yet into another gear. Now, certain people that I've known, and this, let me know if this is you, but some people, for some reason, either are one or the other, are very, very into the mass, kind of like throwing in all these, like, basically having a party. Like going in with mass, but they never, for some reason, don't go into subtlety. Now there's other people, and let me know if you're one of these categories. Some other people, for some reason, only do subtlety and just don't even mess with mass. They don't work with mass, and then once it comes time to the whole picture being covered, it takes them months to get there, or weeks, or several hours to get there. I don't know why, but I think it's important to have a balance, to be able to switch gears. And if you're one or the other, don't feel bad. That's how you start. Prioritize one of them. But of course, you continue to train both of them. The Fibonacci scale. You do more mass than subtle work. Yeah, I recommend always being able to learn it all. Something I learned from the pool world is do what makes you uncomfortable. Do what makes you uncomfortable. There was one point in time where live streaming made me anxious. I used to get extremely anxious before pressing the go live button to do YouTube live streams, the public live streams. I acted a certain way back then, to try to get more people interested, and I'm not trying to say that I wasn't me, but I was, trying to, every time a painting would sell back in 2020, I would do a little happy dance or something like that. Stuff like that, stuff is just out of my character. But I did it. I did something that made me uncomfortable, and I think it helped me grow. I don't fear this anymore. What I fear is not doing this. That's true. You wouldn't be able to be brave and exercise courage without a little fear. That is true. It's necessary. It's part of the growing process. That is true. Gotta have a little fear. But you don't want the fear itself to be crippling to the point where it makes you so anxious you don't want to do it. And there's always going to be something new to you, where you have to, work a little differently, problem solve a little differently. Like with this, obviously, she doesn't have cheeks this red orange, but I'm adding it in here so I can, just like I did with the nose and the mouth, add another mini layer. And this paper can handle it. It can take a beating. So you don't have to be too easy on the paper. It's a mixed media paper. Links are in the description. In the past, I used to use the Pastel paper from Canson. But I find for these purposes, this is just fine. So we're always learning, we're always evolving. little more red for the tear duct. This is a kind of like a burnt sienna type red that I'm using. The white itself is a coolant, so adding it to the cheeks will help raise the value, but also cool down. Which brings me to another point in how pastel, both oil pastel and soft pastel, can help you with oil painting or painting in general. Because you're mixing on the canvas all the time, I believe that this will help you mix paint more confidently. Mix paint with more confidence. Now we're getting into that subtlety that we all know and enjoy once we start to break out of the awkward phase. Each stage presents something different that we can all learn from, and being able to maintain focus, and keep modeling the form at this stage is not easy. It's not something that should be taken lightly. However, my goal for myself and for everyone that's interested in these streams is to get to the point where you can do this and not have to think about it too much, like where it becomes automatic for you, and relieve that anxiety. Thanks, Cassell. Example of theory is since you started with both pastels and watercolors. Oh, thank you. I think I really think that acrylic is not that friendly for this kind of stuff. And at first I didn't have that much of a problem with acrylic until I got used to watercolor. Then I figured out the limitations of the acrylics. The study I did before this today was in watercolor. I chose it over the other materials, even before the pastels. They each teach you something. Acrylic taught, right now, what I did yesterday, acrylic taught me to appreciate watercolor. But yeah, the whole process of working with mass and stuff like this, I think really it works out with watercolor as well, because you can work with mass with watercolor, and it doesn't have to be such a thing that where when you make one mistake it's all over. It actually doesn't have to be that way. Oh, looks like I got a warning on my stream, so let me know if anything is cutting off. It looks like it says my frame rate is too high. That's weird. It might mean my internet's too fast for what my streaming software can handle. I think, I don't know. Yeah, let me know if it continues to glitch. If it does so, then I guess I have to end it. I would prefer not to. But you can tell, like, if it starts glitching, that is a very weird thing, because if it's going to be inconsistent, it should be inconsistent from the beginning. So perhaps it could be that a lot of people are on the computers right now on the internet because everybody's getting off of work, which is kind of the point. That's why I chose this timing. So maybe too much for the servers to handle. I don't know. This is why I don't work in IT. I don't work in IT. I just paint and play pool. That's what I do. I paint and play pool. Hey, BRE, it's good on your end? That's what I like to hear. Oops. So, even if I had made a mistake like that in watercolor, you can still adjust it. You may have missed a momentary glitch. Yeah, it's not giving me the warning anymore, so should be okay to go. Alrighty then.
Lucy.
You can hear my phone, right? See? So in case something goes off, there's a purchase, you'll also hear my phone. Oh, I guess she knows that she called during my stream. I'll tell her everyone said hi. That was her text message sound, by the way. Beery, a good way to get proportions correct if you are going to use a linear approach is to start with the outside shape of the face, then add in the axis for the eyebrows, the eyes, center line for the head, and then lock in the placement of the nose and the mouth relative to the eyes. But it starts with the outside shape of the face. Outside shape of the face, axes for the eyes, center line, nose and mouth should be determined relative to the eyes. Even when I'm working with masks, even though I don't really go out and do the whole like magic measuring thing, you could just do this, like, okay, this is 2.5, this is 1.76, this is 0.75, and this is 0.8329, and this, whatever, like, you could do that if you want to, but if you do that, you're now locked into something you don't want to move. Once you measure it and put it in there, it becomes precious. And once you have something precious, you tend to want to protect it, and it'll make you nervous. So that's why I rather just don't even think about proportion. Just keep it in the back of your mind, but focus on working with shapes. Shapes of value and color is your language. It's the way that you're going to think. It is life itself. You had the same text message sound. Oh my goodness, it went off at the same time. I think she knows that her ringtone is on the stream. That's hilarious. But yeah, that's pretty funny. That is pretty funny. Yeah, so get to the point. My suggestion is get to the point where you don't have to worry about, but know of it. Whoops, know that you can measure that way. You know that it exists, but keep it in the back of your mind as you're working. Trying to get you into a rhythm. You had it for a year, now you had to change it. That's funny. I think I've had that ringtone for her for about like 6 months or so. I chose the most obnoxious ringtone I could so that I could hear it while playing pool, so I wouldn't miss her call. That's the idea. Well, we're almost there with the subtlety on the face. Obviously, there's certain things like the symmetry of the eyes that I could be a little more cautious with, but not really worried about it. You can almost imagine that the model had something to do with these eyebrows. I mean, these eyebrows are like perfect. Like the shape of them and everything. And one of my teachers, Paulden, would always say something he didn't like about portraiture was that in the end it's all down to cosmetics. But it's not that hard to do. It's a line. All right? It's not that hard to do. Don't overthink it. It's a line with edges. It's a line with soft edges and values. It's not that complicated. But man, do they look nice. Those are nice looking eyebrows. You've used the Loomis method while drawing this whole year. I feel like your center line is always messing you up. Um, well, what I always recommend students is site size. So like my beginning students, I have them do site size drawings. So have your reference like right next to your drawing and work that way. That way you can actually feel what it feels like to have dead perfect precision. But you don't need to rely on that all the time. You don't need to rely on that dead perfect accuracy forever. You know, even the best pool player in the world will miss a shot here and there. Like, same thing with painting. Like, even the best painters out there will misposition something. It's okay, it happens. But for us, it's more important to rely on form rather than likeness, I would say. And it all depends on what you're after. But if you're too worried about likeness, I think you're probably doing yourself a disservice. Because remember, the photograph and now the AI is always going to be more accurate. And the AI, maybe not, but in time, that's going to be way more accurate than it is today. I guess the key word is what I'm trying to teach you is rhythm. Not like this is the rhythm of the night, but like rhythm in how you work. A rhythm, get into a flow. Painting should be similar to music. You get into a flow and everything just works out. Hey, Jeanette. Well, thanks for joining. I don't know why it's been difficult to find me on here, but we're here. This is the first full week, by the way. Next week is the holidays, and Lucy's gonna be off work for 5 days, so I may have to miss, I think, a couple days. Though I'm back. Like, I'm back. Like, don't worry about me disappearing again. I am back. So I was gone for a while because I moved to a new place and couldn't get the internet set up just right to be able to stream. And now I've done it. So I'm back. So even though I'll most definitely miss some days because of the holidays, I'll be here. I will be here. So Beery, currently I don't have any one-on-ones for Zoom available listed on my Patreon. But just if you want to contact me on Patreon and just let me know what you want to work on, we could certainly set up some Zooms where we can do that. So my Patreon will always say something specific because I have to have something specific on there. But in real life, I'm very flexible. So if there's like, I'm not this like big super famous artist, so like I'm pretty much a level up from a nobody. So I've got plenty of time to to help you out with whatever You just email me. I can set you up with some of the projects, mainly the project one or the whichever of the earlier projects on my Patreon. I've got a lot of them ranging from different skill levels, so we can always work something out. Giselle, continuous line drawing might help break down the placement of the features when you're starting. This is true. I think you can experiment with really anything you want, and it'll help in some way or another. But that is a possibility. I haven't tried it. We could probably try something like that in the future. I'm not opposed to almost anything, really. We're gonna put in some lights for the hair, of course. We've got 15 minutes till the second break. Time flies. Hair itself has planes, light and shadow, and more planes, and more light and shadow, and maybe a plane here and there. So at the end of the day, you will remember that there's planes, light and shadow. Because I repeated it so many times, it's probably annoying now. But man, this is pretty much the most stylish old master looking painting I've ever seen. Like she would still be fashionable today. I don't think fashion, not that I know anything about, I know zero about fashion. But I think she'd still be fashionable today. I think. And some of you are face palming right now, like this guy knows nothing about nothing fashion. And you'd be right. It's just a guess. Have a good night, Mark L. Thanks for joining. Yeah, no worries. I don't think I'll be here next week either. Just because of the holidays and all that. And like I said, Lucy has off work for 5 days. Whenever she's off work or she works from home, it's very difficult for me to do these streams. Oh, my email. Yeah, you just type in my name, Yupari. Just put Yupari the artist. So just one word. The artist at Gmail. And just make sure you put your name, like Buri or Giselle or Mark L. Just so I know who you are, because I do get quite a few emails that I know that are definitely not human. So yeah, it's just my last name. Well, it's my name, Yupari, and then the artist at gmail.com. Like I said, these are I'm not like a big time YouTube superstar, so I'm sure I'll be fine sharing that information, but technically I'm not supposed to on the live stream. But it's all good. I trust you all. You all are like family to me, so I trust you. Yeah, these are not that powdery. You're correct. These are the Rembrandt brand. Remember, I'm not sponsored by anyone. But I do have links in the description box of the video to Amazon. They are affiliate links, so if you buy anything, even if you decide to buy, like, I don't know, like a TV or something on Amazon, after you click on one of my links, I do get a small percentage. Small, but greater than 0%. Where is everyone? I think everybody's getting ready for the holidays. Yeah, there's only 2 on my Etsy right now. I decided not to put the acrylic because I think I kind of bombed it, but yeah, there's only 2 currently on there. That's because I know both of those are in perfect condition. Like the watercolor, I'm looking at it right now, it's taped onto the wall. Like I said, the other ones have some minor damage, so I don't want to risk it, like sending something that has minor damage. But they are for sale. Yeah, I don't know if I'd sell this one though. I'm still debating whether to sell the pastels or not. I'm gonna have to do more research on how to ship them. Maybe shipping them already in a frame, like with a glass, not like real glass, but probably plexiglass so it doesn't break. That might be a good idea. You sell. You searched for it, got a bunch of things. Oh, okay, yeah, I posted the link on the comments to make it a little easier. You know why I did that? Because most people don't click on the description box of any YouTube video, myself included. Everybody always says, see the links in the description box below. Man, nobody ever looks at the links in the description box below. Quit kidding me. Nobody ever clicks on those things. I don't even click on those things. And I am a content creator, so I understand. It's just that extra work to click on that button on the bottom that I just don't feel like doing. Like, I don't know if anyone else can relate to that, but like, if I have to do any extra little work, like click a button, I won't do it. But if it's right next to, like, literally right next to the video as a pinned comment, I'm more likely to click on it. Just because you saved me that little bit of extra work that I don't feel like doing. Hey Julia, you like the idea of plexiglass? Buy a glassine type paper. Interesting. Never heard of that. I'm gonna have to look it up. Yeah, I'm thinking maybe just sell them already framed and up the price a little bit because of the frame. Might make more sense. But the hair though, like perfect hair. Great fashion back in the day. I think it's still fashionable today. It comes in rolls, I didn't know. About that glassine. Jeanette, you wrote, ship with a foam core backing, put glassine paper over it. Have the buyer frame it. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look up this glassine paper. I can try that. Acid-free foam boards. Oh, thanks, Julia. I'm glad you liked the expression. Yeah, I really like I like the original painting in general. I knew it'd be a lot of fun to paint it. It's pretty neat. The hair, the expression, the eyes, the eyebrows. Not easy to do, but definitely worth it. Yeah, hopefully after New Year's, when we start these streams, more people will be interested in watching the videos. Watching these live streams. Of course, you can always watch it afterwards. For free on YouTube. Vignettes, some of the drapery of the clothing, just to keep it classy. Like I said, we could potentially sell these once I figure out how to ship them. Let's see. Oh yeah, I did notice the internet did cut out a little bit. Well, hopefully it auto corrects itself. It would have something to do, I think, with the time. Like it's probably a lot of people using Xfinity right now. But if it's dropping in and out, maybe just once in a while, hopefully it's not too bad. Hey Jazz W. Let me know if it's like consistent for like the span of like a couple minutes. That might be a problem. Thanks, Gazelle. Yeah, we're just vignetting a little bit of something here. Make it a little classy. Keep some of the scratchiness of the pastel in play. Looks like I just saw someone get a speeding ticket. I didn't know there was speeding cameras. Okay, so we are about 10 seconds away from the 2 hour mark, which means we're going to take a short break, come back, and finish this pastel, soft pastel painting. So, as always, oh man, look at that. We've got over 20 people, and now I'm going to take a break. So, if you are new, I will play a video during the break, so it's not like everything is just going to cease to exist on here. Um, I'll return in a couple minutes. The audio will be turned off, but don't worry. Like I said, I'll be right back. So, once again, don't go anywhere unless you absolutely have to, and I will be back in just a couple minutes. About 5 minutes to be exact. Alrighty, I have returned as promised after 5 minutes. So welcome, Jazz W. Oh, Giselle, knowing when to remember, overworking is a myth. I've always said overworking is a myth. We cannot overwork any paintings. All we do really is just, I guess, lose track of light and shadow values, proportions, color relationships, anatomy, perspective, texture. All these things can get kind of foggy in our minds. Thanks for that comment, Grace. All right, so in this part of the stream, we usually incorporate a little subtlety trivia, but again, I don't think we have enough people today. So we will just go along and continue to add more subtlety. And first thing I'm looking at after taking a break is this line, that specific line. So now I'm just going to look for things that stick out and change them. That's simple. So let me know if the audio and visuals and I guess internet speed or pace is working out for you. Not good. Haven't had one comment since I started. So let me know. There's a possibility you can't hear me. Oh, thank you, Giselle, for that comment. It's okay, don't worry about it. I'm happy to have you here consistently. You've been here with just like Grace and Mark L, Julia, see, I'm gonna forget names now. Uncle Earl, very consistently in these recent streams that we started a couple months ago. Back in 2020, it was Alan, Kathy, Randy. Randy's still here, of course. John, McGeekin, Mariah. See, I remember you. I remember everyone. Yeah, I think I finally said Uncle Earl. I appreciate all the likes, everyone. We've made it past 30. We've got 32 likes. That is awesome. Turns out that this color was really important for the skin complexion. This is a light green. Looks like white, but it's not. It's a light green. Oh, I said it at the same time. A little bit of light for the lower eyelid, making sure that the plane is somewhat rounded, but not to the point where it's going to look like she got knocked in the face, but just enough so you can see some curvature there. Now, there is a certain level of let's call it artistic license, things that we leave kind of more flowy, kind of loose, because it just tends to look better. And I gotta pay the bills, so we gotta make sure that this looks decent enough for somebody to want to buy at some point. And of course, I'll create a reel for it for Instagram and Facebook, because short videos on Facebook are the new addiction, I think, of the social media content, especially cats. For some reason, cats doing funny things have always been a big deal. Like, I remember Grumpy Cat. That was my favorite cat meme in the past. Rest in peace, Grumpy Cat. And now we've got a whole new generation of short video content with cats, and of course Shiba Inus like Hugo. So yeah, I'll create short little funny videos with these paintings in mind. Gotta keep with the times, you know. Now I'm taking a second to look at the painting from a distance, meaning I'm sitting back a little bit further, looking at it on my screen, looking for any little things that I want to do differently. And this is yet another gear. So there's a lot of different gears involved, a lot of different changes in mindset. Right now, the important thing is not so much about how can I turn form anymore and make things look dimensional and all that stuff. Now it's about picking and choosing which areas that I want to take further and which areas that I want to just let be. Oh, thanks, Giselle, for that comment. So it's just a little tapping of the pastel to raise that value slightly. Now her eye is a little different on this one, but I think I kind of prefer it that way. It's got more of a enchanting kind of look with its asymmetry. So like I said, I'm picking and choosing certain things that I'm going to leave the way that they are. And that's a different mindset. This one in particular, this gear, is a little bit difficult to practice. You can only really practice this gear once you get to this level of rendering and form. It takes a while to get there, but when you get there, you will always evolve, and you'll figure out things that you want to do differently. And it's kind of like a fingerprint, I always say. Sometimes it's a creative expression to make it look like somebody just got socked in the eye. Like that's fine. I mean, if that's the look that you want, if for some reason you think that makes it look a certain way that you want, then that's fine. Oh, that makes sense. When you know what you're doing and how to do it, you know how to edit your work. I never thought about it that way. That's a much smarter answer than what I was saying. So once you know how to how to paint a certain way, then you know how to edit it. Yeah, I would agree. But you know that the reality is we never get the image that we want in our paintings. And not to be totally negative about it, but like there's always something more that we're striving for. And that's why I emphasize finding form with freedom. Because it's fun to be free. I think for most people, it's fun to be free. Some people just want to do what they're told, and that's okay. But having that kind of freedom allows you to move more effectively into knowing what you're doing so that you can edit it. For example, I want to push a little bit more red on that part of the nose. I'm fine with this little smudge here because I know in a lot of Sargent paintings from a distance that little smudge completes the form. So I'm well aware of things that I'm leaving behind. Hey, Carlson. Oh yeah, I'm using primarily the Zorn palette with a light green. So I've got black, white, yellow ochre. This is called Permanent Red Deep. But I also have this light greenish color and a very important color. It's kind of like a burnt sienna. That's what I used for this. As you can see, it's not a burnt sienna, but it's a type of red. I have it linked in the description with the number. This had a specific number. I think I got it right. I'm not sure. But it's a really useful color to have for pastels, in my opinion. But the more the merrier. I mean, if you can get a whole complete set of Rembrandt pastels, that'll work just fine as well. But also, no, you don't, to do a portrait like this, you don't really have to spend that much money. I'm using mixed media paper. It's actually really sturdy, and it's not that expensive. It's this one, so it's not that expensive. It's really nice for the price. But yeah, these are Rembrandt brand soft pastels. Not sponsored by any company, so I'll just tell you it as it is. Although I got my eyes set to Paul Rubens' because they do make pastels as well as um, oil paints, acrylics, and I don't know if they make watercolors, but I'm gonna contact them because I think I've done videos for them before. I think they'd be a really good company to work with. So I will reach out to them. So this is the part that I call keying the lights. So bringing some lights up, bringing some lights down. Look at that, we got 40 likes. Thank you so much for all the likes, everyone. I am not worthy, but thank you so much for the likes. I appreciate the likes. Oh yeah, exactly. Oh yeah. Yes, the paper, the tone, this gray color. You can see here on the background. You know, I might actually like this for a palette, an oil painting palette. Just get some plexiglass and put it over top of that. But you can see this blue on the back. It kind of pushes the skin tones forward. Really good. Like I said, not sponsored by anyone, but we're getting there. We're getting there. I think this would be a pretty good example of the color, like how the color of the tone. Well, not that I did anything well with the painting, but the fact that these oranges show through the blue is all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. And again, just for the sake of, I don't know, of the aesthetic, I'm gonna try to mess around with some of the curls in the hair, but only to the extent that I feel would work in the painting. Again, another Camaro. Another Camaro driver. Nothing against Camaros. But the catalytic converter is there for a reason, everyone. Throw in a couple curls because we can. And for the curls of the hair, you don't need to show every single curl. You can show only some of it, and the mind's eye will complete the rest of it. It's one of those optical illusions. People are gonna look at your paintings and like, wow, look at all the detail in the hair. How did you have so much patience and time to do that with the hair? And then you tell them, well, look up close. What? No way. That's the optical illusion. Painting is all about optical illusions. Light and shadow itself is not real on the canvas. It's an optical illusion. Yeah, through suggestion. It's kind of like the power of suggestion. The power of suggestion. Also, note another thing. It's kind of important when you are rendering a lot of stuff, like when you're making things look super realistic. Sometimes it's not as advantageous for you because extremely hyper realistic paintings can be in current days it can be mistaken for AI. In the past it was unfortunately mistaken for photographs, but now in the era of AI it's even more of an annoyance if you take it to that level where it's mistaken for AI. Another thing among artists, for some reason, and I think it's a psychological thing, but very realistic or really paintings with a lot of depth are intimidating to some artists. Not to the general public, but to artists. For some reason, it's intimidating, and I think it's just because artists themselves, we like to look at things that we feel like we could learn from or accomplish or do better than. And typically it's the latter. People want to do better. And I've been told this a couple times already. It doesn't bother me, but some people say that they like my videos because I'm not that good. Like I can't paint that well. So they think, well, maybe I'll watch what he does because I can realistically do what he does. I could get to that point, and that's fine with me. It's all good. I've been doing this for a long time. I don't have any negative feelings towards things like that, and I embrace it even. So for me, it doesn't make that much sense to try to go super realistic with it because that's just not my style. I can do it. If you look on my Instagram, you know I can do it, but it's not something that I find that advantageous for me. Thanks, Oling Dog Design. I like your username, by the way. I've been told things like that before. I get it. I understand. Like, I totally understand. And then that's another thing about artists. We're very sensitive people, myself included. I'm not going to pretend that I'm not. There are things that hurt my feelings. But the important stuff is to just understand it and just be alright. Just understand. And we can't always make the right choice. Sometimes we have to make a mistake in order to learn from it. Yeah, of course, Owling Dog Design. Yeah, there's so many different styles now. We're living in one of the best eras of art, I will say. people that may be watching this 100 years from now in the vintage YouTube archives in section 21B of the vintage archives in the future. Those of you that are watching this in the future, you'll probably agree that this time was a really freeing time to be an artist and a content creator, of course. I missed something from Julia. Oh, thanks for that comment. And yeah, AI does use our art, you're right. I think it does use an amalgamation of different people's paintings and stuff like that. Which makes me wonder how they get past copyright. I guess in the future they're probably going to ask me or other artists for rights to what we do, and I'll probably say no. Because I know what's going to happen. You're going to create an AI that's going to sound just like me, talk just like me. And then it's going to say, everything you can do, I can do better. And I'll say, I know you can. That'll end the rest of that song. Yeah, it is concerning. But the only constant is change, so it'll all be fine in the end. Yeah, I agree. Outline design, I won't use AI for anything other than perhaps like those little filters that are on Instagram. I made one filter where Hugo was running around, or I used one filter in a painting where a reel or something where Hugo was running around the background. He knows I'm talking about him too. He knows. He's a smart boy. So Giselle, you're commenting about disjointed blocks of color. When you get far enough away, it all comes together. Oh yeah, of course. Much the same thing. Optical illusions. In a sense, this is exactly that. If you zoom in enough in any painting, it's all going to be blurry. In fact, there are some physicists that are saying that reality itself is a simulation. Life is a simulation made up by advanced computers in the far distant realms of space-time continuum. You know all those things, those fancy things. Okie dokie, so I think we're almost there. I'm going to stand up and walk back because I am sitting on a chair. For some reason, I'm using the uncomfortable chair. take a look from a distance. Always remember to stand back or walk back uh, or sit back, whatever you want to do. Just try to look at the painting from a distance. You can also use a mirror or take a picture of it and look at the picture just to look at it from a different perspective. From a distance, I think it's almost done, everyone. Like I said, we've gotten a little bit faster. A little bit faster since we started these streams. Or restarted them a couple months ago. Alright, so only thing I see is perhaps a little bit more light over here. Key the lights. That necklace just doesn't work for me, so I'm not going to add that in there. Still going to keep this very simplified. Yes, still going to keep the eyes somewhat a little bit disjointed because I think it adds something to it. I don't know, I might change my mind later and fix it, but a little bit more light here I think is fine. Yeah, perhaps, yeah, I think the neck. Add some definition to it. It's kind of needed now since we're showing more light down here. So Gracie said AI tends to look perfect in a wrong way. That's pretty much the uncanny valley. So Giselle, we wrote, unveiled December 6, 2024, Clone Robotics unveils Clone Alpha, a humanoid with synthetic organs, microfiber muscles, and lifelike movements. Alrighty, so the Will Smith movie is almost here. Yeah, it does. AI does make uh, us feel uncomfortable. Of course, computer scientists are probably mixed, I guess. Some of them may be excited about it, others may be worried about it. It does make us uncomfortable, and I think it's just more of that uncanny valley. Meaning, if no one knows what the uncanny valley is, it's something looks so realistic, but there's something a little bit off to it that's like, like that's just not right kind of feeling. It's an intrinsic feeling that you know it when you know it when it's there. Well, yeah, like it keeps repeating the same loop. Like, oh, you mean in the video? Hopefully not the video. I'm kind of glad I chose this reference. I knew it would be difficult, but I like the look of it. Very much. Sí me gusta. This, by the way, will be the first painting I have ever done with contacts. I wore the contact lenses the entire time. At first, I think I felt a little weird, like I started feeling dizzy. But now I'm alright. I'm okay. The very first one es el primero. Es el primero que yo hice con lentes de contacto. It's about the best my Spanish will ever get. So a little bit more light for the neck, the sternocleidomastoid going all the way towards there. But we don't want too much though. We don't want Dwayne Johnson type neck muscles. This is more soft, kind of, I don't know. I guess the word is soft. I don't know. Careful. Not as geometric. Hugo's of trying to protect his bone. He always gets like that when there's a milk bone. They may not know about Isaac Asimov, the Isaac Asimov books. I believe that. But I think humans are just genuinely curious all the time. We'll create things even if it can end us. We've seen that happen time and time again. That's just human nature, though. Humans learned how to harness fire, and they ended up burning people with it. They learned how to create metal. They ended up creating swords and cutting people up with it. Humans created electricity. Well, didn't create it, but figured out how to use it. Then they electrocuted people. We discovered how to use nuclear physics to split an atom. And we blew up so many innocent lives. That's just humanity. That's how humans are. But there is still much love in the world, positivity, good things out there. So let's just focus on those things, I'd say. Alrighty. So once again, I'm going to stand back. I do this a lot in the ending stages of a painting. I stand back a lot. think that might be everything, everyone. Almost used the entire 3 hours. But we've gotten a little bit faster. Certain things, I guess, like the eye's a little bit offset. I don't mind it. It adds something to it. The hair being kind of scratchy as it is adds something to it. Form is there where it counts, not everywhere, because it's not needed everywhere. So I think we're good. Alrighty, so this is going to be the time where I will sign it, ask everyone if there are any last minute questions, and inform you, like you already know, next week are the holidays. Next week will be the holidays, so I won't be here on certain days, but don't worry, the live streams will not stop for many weeks like it did when I moved. We have figured it out. Yes, the internet did cut out a couple times, but it, for the most part, has been very consistent. Remember, if anyone wants to buy any of the paintings that we're doing here, the link to my Etsy is pinned on the comment section of this stream. So this will be the point where I'll ask any last minute questions and wish you all happy holidays. Of course, we'll sign it up here. Signed on the top left. You have just witnessed the development of an original study that Yupari has created of another painting or whatever. Yeah, we can forget about that though. Forget about it. Let's do this. Bye. We don't need that anymore. We've created our own painting. You said it seems like our life is imitating art everywhere. I can see that. I wish you the same. Happy holidays. Thanks for all the likes. We made it to 45 likes, 5 away from 50. Pretty awesome. Thank you so much for all the likes. Thanks for the hearts, owling design, owling dog design. Okay, so that's about all we got, everyone. Remember, the schedule is Tuesday through Friday. Tuesday is watercolor, Wednesday is oil paint, Thursday is acrylic, although that one is going to be in question. Friday is pastel. What I mean about Thursday acrylic being in question is I may change it to something else like watercolor or landscape or still life or something, because I find acrylic is causing some issues, but we'll figure it all out. Don't worry about it, everybody. You know the schedule. And when I'm not here, it's because it's a holiday. So once again, thank you all so much for watching. I wish you the very best. And I'll see you on the next one.